What's up guys, this is JT at X Science. I hope you guys do remember the Great American Eclipse on the 21st of August 2017. Now in case you have already forgotten, it was a total solar eclipse which was visible in a band spanning from the east coast to the west coast of America. It was even partly visible from as far as Europe and Africa, as well as the far east of Asia. Now what makes the eclipse so special is not only its degrees of totality and span, but also other things that were made visible because of it happening. You see, during the day, the sunlight blocks out everything that is supposed to be visible, and as night comes, our part of the earth faces another direction. Therefore, there are a lot of things that we are missing out there. So a solar eclipse creates the perfect condition for sky watching because it blocks out the sun and reveals other celestial bodies. And indeed, during the Great American Eclipse, Mars, Mercury, Venus and Jupiter were all visible in the sky. The star system Regulus was also revealed. For your information, Regulus is the brightest star system of the constellation Leo. But that is not all. Something else also made its grand appearance, and we know for certain it is not any of the celestial bodies mentioned above. Why? Well, take a look at this photo here, taken in Idaho. As you can see, there is a cosmic object at the direction of 5 o'clock. It is not any of the planets we mentioned above because Regulus was visible to the right of the Sun. Mars and Venus was on the upper right corner, while Jupiter and Mercury was on the upper left. Well, of course, you can argue that this can be any celestial body out there, or even a lens flare, which is unlikely though because this photo was taken in the areas of totality with an eclipse filter via special eclipse glasses with ISO setting of 1600. So that leaves us with the other argument that this can be any cosmic entity. But then, take a look at this photo. This was taken from Italy, and the planet, or whatever it is, appears much bigger and more visible. We know it is the same object because it is at the exact same location, and the photo you see actually has been super enhanced, so you can see the dim light that this rose system of planets radiates. And it makes perfect sense because the light is crimson red, and according to an insider who used to work with the Hubble telescope, the approaching system of planets is made up of a lot of iron oxide, and therefore if we can see it, it is going to be red. Now I'm not going to talk too much about the Hubble insider here because we have extracted one of his interviews in an old video and you can find it later. Now I'm just going to show you guys some other footage and photos from the eclipse that I think are incredible and are very concrete evidence that the road system of Planet X is on its trajectory toward the Earth and is already very close. Now, the zoom-in ones were taken from Anchorage, Alaska. Next is a video clip caught in the city of Panama, Florida. Now as you can see, this doomsday is an object on the other side of the Sun, symmetric with the object that was supposed to be Planet X at the direction of 5 o'clock. At first it was unclear what this was. It could very well be a lens flare or a sundog phenomenon, but after some analysis with clarity enhancement and saturation adjustment, it is revealed to be another source of light. A reasonable explanation is that, because of the angle and lighting, the camera somehow captures the reflection of NIBIRU. Of course, I'm not a light physicist, so I can't explain that in detail, but I just know that such illusions or reflection is possible. Another explanation that sounds a bit more dire is that there is more than one celestial bodies up there, interacting with our solar system. In this situation, it is unknown what the indication might be for us here on Earth, or when we may feel the effects. So a good advice is keep looking to the sky for any anomalies, guys. Okay, next I want to show you guys this photo. This is a chart made by an astrophysicist from Kyoto, Japan. He has actually done a considerable amount of investigation into pole shift and wobbles and things like that, and he actually calculated and pinpointed the positions of Planet X based on the footage captured from the solar eclipse. So here's how he's calculated it. First, take the central spot on the Sun and extend the line down to Planet X. Now before we continue, just for your information, the distance from the Earth to the Sun is called 1 astronomical unit, or 1 AU for short. Planet X turned out to be 0.84 units from the Earth. To put that into perspective, Venus is 0.72 AU from the Sun, or equivalently 0.28 AU from our Earth. From here, take the down distance from the central point of the Sun, which is the 1.04 AU, and multiply that by the distance of Earth from Venus. That will then give us a fair equation, which places Planet X roughly 440,000 kilometers below the elliptic plane. The next step we need to do is to take the diameter of the Sun, which is 1,391,000 kilometers, times that by the distance to the right of the Sun in addition to the distance between Earth and Venus, and the result is 340,000 kilometers to the right of the Sun. Okay, summing up, the system of Planet X is 340,000 kilometers to the right of the Sun and 440,000 kilometers below the elliptic. Oh, by the way, quick explanation. The elliptic is a plane where the planets of the solar system orbit the Sun. It is basically like a flat stick on which the planets rotate. The system of NIBIRU is rising up to this plane. Well, it's hard to say rise or fall in space, but what I mean when I say it is rising to the elliptic is that it approaches the Earth from the direction that we here on Earth call the south. That is why it is most easily spotted from the southern hemisphere. In fact, a lot of space observatories in the southern hemisphere, as well as in Antarctica, is rumored to have the main purpose being keeping a lookout on Planet X. And yes, you heard that right. Unless you are a newcomer to this issue, you probably have already known that NASA and the authorities have known about the existence and approachings of Planet X since at least 1983. And of course, they had been keeping the public in the dark because the knowledge of an imminent doom would lead to social and economic breakdown. One of the most obvious effects of gravity from other planets or celestial bodies is the tides of our ocean. As you can see this reflect clearly from the historical retreating of waters along the coast of South America, on the side of the Atlantic Ocean in Brazil and Uruguay, and simultaneously the crushing of waters into the source along the Pacific coast of Chile and other western edges of the continent. Another sign of incoming gravity is the increase in the wobble of the Earth, also known as the tilt in the Earth's rotating axis. This has been clearly observed by farmers around the world as well as the elders in the far north polar region, from where the changes in the sun's and the moon's positions can be seen most clearly. In fact, you can find one of the old interviews with the northern Inuits in our previous videos on the topic of Earth wobble. So do that when you have free time, and I'm not going to be too lengthy on that here. In the meantime, extreme climate activities are engulfing the planet. What we can see most obviously at this moment is a global heatwave, which is shattering temperature record on every continent. 48 degrees in Europe and over 50 degrees in North America, Africa, and Asia. Is setting uncontrollable wildfire across the land, with hundreds burning in Europe and even inside the Arctic Circle. And the biggest one was in Athens, Greece, and it kills almost 100 people. In Japan, 22,000 people have been sent to the hospital because of heat stroke. And what is worth noticing about the case of Japan is that only a week or two before the heatwave, the country had experienced one of the worst floods in its history, killing more than 200 people and making thousands have to evacuate. From inside the Earth, the core is also being stirred up as seismic and volcanic activities rise steadily. 40 volcanoes are aggressively active, and almost every other single one in the rings of fire is showing signs of coming back to life, including the infamous Yellowstone supervolcano, which could potentially kill almost 100,000 people immediately and make 7 million square miles of American land instantly inhabitable. Too much volcanic eruption can also cover the planet in a layer of ashes and sulfur, bringing with it a nuclear winter as well as downpours of acid rain. The majority of life on Earth and human civilization might disappear even before the system or systems of Planet X arrive. This is a legitimate threat because volcanic eruption caused one out of the 5 massive extinctions in the Earth's history, as well as contribute a great deal of destructive forces in another one, the famous KPG extinction that wiped out the known avian dinosaur. To sum up what I've been trying to say, the NIBIRU catalysm will start long before Planet X is here. In fact, it might have already started. What's up guys, it's JT here at Exile, and the video clip I have just shown you is just another concrete solid evidence that something big is coming to us, and in the sky it will look just like a second sun. And NASA is hiding everything from the public. Why am I so sure? Well, because the guy in the clips is astronomer Paul Cox. Who is Paul Cox, you may ask? He's English, and he's host of many shows about astronomy, including Practical Astronomy with Paul Cox, and he managed most aspects of SLUS engineering. SLUS is an international organization that runs several robotic telescopes in places with good seeing such as the Canary Isles and use them for live shows of events of public interest. All this is to tell you that we have a valid and recognized astronomer admitting in public that another big celestial body is out there heading outwards, and all the second sun sightings around the world are harbingers of Judgment Day. We were right all along, and NASA, ever since 1983, had been hiding everything from the public just so that the elites can keep the crowd under control and assure their group interest. Anyway, back to Mr. Cox now. After his very bold announcement, many news outlets tried to get the public to believe that he was joking. They call it a dry British humor, done in a deadpan way with only one or two sentences. The explanation they gave was that the second sun Mr. Cox was pointing at was nothing more than a problem with the reflection of one of the telescopes slew during that event. For your information, that event was broadcast live and it was the chances of Mercury. Back to the debunk that everything was a joke. I'm gonna show you this following footage, and you can tell me whether or not it is one. There is no way he would make the same joke again. He just admitted that what appears was very possibly NIBIRU, and he even added again that sleuth does not censor such things out of the public's view like NASA does. Also, I have to add that SLU has a global network of observatories, and one of these observatories is located in Chile. If you have been following the topic of Planet X, you would have known that its system is located below the elliptic plane, and therefore when it approaches, it is best seen from somewhere in the southern hemisphere. In other words, SLU is very well equipped to spot the inbound system of Planet X, and there is no humor here. There is no point to make the same joke about NASA twice in a show in such a dry manner. It's as if the fact that NASA censors things is too normal for people in the field like Mr. Cox to know. Now you see, Paul Cox is not the only scientist to have talked about Planet X. In fact, since before modern time, astronomer has already calculated that something big is lurking in the darkness of space out there, causing the distorted orbit of gas giants Uranus and Neptune. One of the most renowned astrophysicists of the last century also approved the existence of an incoming system celestial body. I don't know if you have heard of Carlo Mundo Ferrada. He is very well known for having calculated correctly many natural events on Earth and in space. For example, in January of 1939, he forecasted that there would be a disastrous earthquake in Chile on the 24th of January of that same year. And guess what happened? It did happen. A huge earthquake shook Chile for 18 seconds, killing 40,000 people. He successfully calculated many other terrestrial extreme events, but that's not all. He even forecasted correctly that Halley Comet's orbit would alter, and it would spend more time closer to the Sun in 1996. What's more terrifying is that he said NIBIRU is real. He's called it Hercules, and he said it was coming. He first mentioned it in the 1940s, 4 decades before NASA's first ever announcement. So to sum up the main point, Planet X is, according to Ferrada, a comet planet. So called because it has the mass of a planet, but orbit like a comet. This thing does not meet the celestial law that is known to man, and it will cross by the Earth so close that the naked eye can see it. Mr. Ferrada also calculated 3 major earthquake points when Hercules arrived, which are the northern area of the Mediterranean, the southern area of the Pacific, and Java, Sumatra. Note that Mr. Farada said it will be visible to the naked eyes, thus all our second sun sightings, even via the telescope, are slew. On April 22, 2016, the well-known Russian aerobatic team Russian Knights rehearsed for the May 9th Victory Parade, and they captured a very visible scene of the approaching Planet X. Just a bit more than 1 week after this sighting, the Norfolk Skycam, which was facing southwest, captures again the system of Planet X, this time even with traces of the debris fields of iron oxide surrounding it. On the exact same day, the Sonia observatories in Brazil also captured the object.